Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the North Lincolnshire series, a district of 56 parishes in the north of Lincolnshire. Let's see which one we're visiting today. Okay, today in North Lincolnshire, I've got a really small one for you, but one that's got an interesting piece of history. Look behind me, you'll see a memorial. I'll just pan the camera down so you can have a look. That is a memorial to Kirton Lindsey, Manton airfield. You might remember in the Kirton and Lindsey episode I mentioned RAF Kirton and Lindsey had two sites. This is where the first one was used in the First World War. Welcome to Manton. This North Lincolnshire episode is sponsored by Past Days, a family history blog by June Terrington. You'll find her link in the description. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. This week we're in Manton. Well, we will be shortly. This is not Manton. This is an old signal box with Kirton Lime Sidings on it. It controlled railway access to Kirton Lime Works, which closed in the 1970s. I opted to start here because even though this is technically within Hibaldstow, Manton airfield was sited just to the north of this road and railway line at the quarry pictured in that episode's picture bit. Here's the airfield memorial on the way into Manton from Gainsborough, placed here in 2018. It might be gone, but it's certainly not been forgotten. Now let's go into the village. Manton has a church which you can see through these gates here. This is where the main walk is going to start and end, and the church will be the last thing to catch. You can get to it even though it looks like you can't. This footpath will ensure that we can later. Despite this not being a circular village, we can walk around in one, because you've got to love a footpath. A national school was built here in around 1857. It still stands and it's right next to the church. Let's have a look at some basic information about Manton before we go any further. So there are two main parts to Manton Parish. There's Manton Village, which is where we are now, and to the left, my left here, well your left now, that takes you to Cleatham, and that runs into Kirton in Lindsey. We'll go down there later. Manton Village is situated about 6 miles southwest of the town of Brigg, off the road between Scunthorpe and Kirton in Lindsey. I describe it as something of a sleepy hollow. Its largest slice of history comes in the form of the airfield, and it isn't really noted for a great deal otherwise. That is, of course, until you consider John Hunsley. He was the last known player of the Lincolnshire bagpipes, and he lived in Manton in the mid-1800s. His music was often described as unmelodious, but it was apparently popular amongst his peers. Hunsley was also recorded by P.B.G. Binnell, a minister of the Church of England, as being a champion boxer and wrestler, defeated only once in his life. This parish was also a known nesting site for thousands of migratory plovers. Their eggs were harvested and sold in London, where they were highly esteemed. Now, we're used to the idea of a linear village by now, one that clings to one road all the way through it. However, Manton can't be defined as that, and there's a very good reason why. Do you remember Acaster Selby in the Selby series and how that was effectively on a dead-end piece of road? It's the same here. You can't go any further than this unless you obviously own property up there. So you have to turn right, and that's where I'm going. And there's a footpath up there which will take us back to the church, but this is also a dead end as well. The name Manton is from the Old English Malm, which means sandy ground. With tun known to mean farmstead, this is therefore the farmstead on sandy ground. In the Domesday Book, the village is given as Malm Tune. Sand was quarried here locally, so that makes perfect sense. Indeed, the largest sand quarry around here was at nearby Messingham. This footpath is one of many rights of way in the area. This will take us through the old rectory before running alongside Manton's church. This is slightly uphill. There's some good views of the local properties from here, although this shot might not do it all that much justice. Trust me, it's a good view from here. St Hibald's Church is a Grade 2 listed building. It was built of limestone in 1861 by J.M. Hooker and Wheeler of Tunbridge Wells, and was only made redundant by the Diocese of Lincoln in 1998. It's now a private residence, having been sold in 2003. Its parson from 1568 was John Rowbottom, who was accused of missing evening prayers and even Easter communion in order to play bowls. So this is one church we certainly can't go and have a look at, because as you can see from this sign, it is now private property. So there's no chance of getting in there and having a look at the church. So we'll stick to the footpath like the sign says, and we'll complete the circle around Manton. So that public footpath runs effectively through the front garden of St Hibald's Church. So I did the courteous thing, didn't turn the camera on at all as I was walking through there. Time to pick up the car, which I left just outside the church, and we're going to head to Cleatham next. The parish includes the hamlet of Cleatham, which was its own civil parish between 1866 and 1936, before it merged with Manton to form the boundaries we have today. And I should also mention Twigmoor at this point too. That will be covered in Messingham's episode, but historically the township also fell within Manton. It's got a history with the gunpowder plot. None other than Charles Darwin mentioned in his writings that his ancestor William Darwin owned the estate at Cleatham. William Darwin was his great-great-grandfather. Cleatham Bowl Barrow is a Bronze Age scheduled monument located about 200 yards to the east of Cleatham Hall, the largest landmark in the hamlet, which I stopped to have a look at. So here we are at Cleatham Hall, a Grade 2 listed house which was rebuilt in 1855. With much earlier origins, some of it is believed to date back to the 17th century. Darwin's ancestors supposedly lived here. In 1881 it was occupied by Matthew Moore, who was lord of the manor. It's used as a boutique, hotel and events venue these days. So from here the road takes a right turn, then a left turn, and then you're heading towards Kirton in Lindsey. There isn't really much more to show you, I'll be honest with you, and this one doesn't really need a picture bit either, because everything else that's around Manton really doesn't belong to Manton. For example, Twigmoor Woods, that belongs to Messingham. Greetwell is in the parish of Scorby, and to be honest with you, the rest of it is just open fields, farmland, and a whole lot of nothing really. Let's finish this video off by driving through the rest of Cleatham to where the parish boundary touches Kirton in Lindsey. Enjoy! Our route ends at Cleatham Farm Shop. This is family run and based on a farm which grows a range of vegetables and potatoes along with other locally sourced produce. And that's really it. This is a very small slice of North Lincolnshire with an interesting backstory including Charles Darwin, Lincolnshire bagpipes, sand quarrying and World War I. Brief, but fun. So I'm stood right on the boundary between Manton Parish and Kirton in Lindsey Parish, which is marked by this road directly opposite. That runs towards Scotter. Kirton in Lindsey is on my left and Manton is on the right, including Cleatham Farm Shop. There we go. And that's the parish of Manton for you. Very small one, no picture bit today. Time for me to move on to my next one here in North Lincolnshire. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.